What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. Mark Carney has gone out of his way when it comes to the MOU, when it comes to the, hey, don't blame me, I want a pipeline, nobody else does, group that essentially he's showing that Canada's broken. He's showing that Canada does not work. I think that's part of the reason others have agreed to this false promise of an MOU. Again, keep in mind, folks, it's nothing more than a promissory note. This isn't a contract that is not binding. Alberta can walk away at any point, and until April, we don't know where that's going to stand. I am choosing to take the path of saying, until I see what Premier Smith's next move is, I'm not really going to buy into too much of what that's worth, because as Mark Carney admits here, and one of the things that is being shown to Canadians is that, well, it's broken and Canada will never work again. There is no negotiating with the federal government. This is why Alberta needs its independence. And I think we're going to see it more as time goes on. But here you got Brian Lilley tweeting out, Bloc leader Yves Blanchette is very concerned about a pipeline from Alberta to British Columbia. Last I checked, the Bloc doesn't run candidates in either of those provinces and doesn't care about them. But listen to Carney's answers on the pipeline in French. Now, Blanchette has some words here about Alberta right at the beginning about why is Mark Carney doing deals with Alberta. I would ask that they don't. Maybe we cut the taps off. Maybe this is where we shut things down and say no more money going to Quebec. I know that it's hard for us to do that legally, but I think that this is poised in a move to start setting up Quebec for their vote for separation. You've already seen mass protests in Quebec pushing for separation. You've heard rumblings and rumors that Quebec is going to try to leave before Alberta even gets its referendum vote. Take a listen to what's done here, but Mark Carney admitting that if you weren't convinced already that the MOU was going to do nothing, he's not moving forward, folks. Nothing will move forward. Anybody who's worried about an industrial carbon tax increase, we're not obligated to start doing that unless a pipeline moves forward. This should be all the proof in the pudding for your worries to go away, folks. Here we go.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, last Thursday, the Prime Minister announced an agreement with Alberta, which is a problem in many ways. I asked the government if it would commit irrevocably to not do anything in British Columbia without the express consent of British Columbia and First Nations. The answer was yes. But yet the announcement was made. Now, what is it? No, please be careful with the language you use. This is not outside the rules, but it might provoke a certain reaction, and one reaction can lead to another, and the two reactions can provoke disorder. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
I love how the speaker has to jump in there and say, everybody make sure not to hurt each other's feelings, okay? This is why I can't do question period. I can't sit and talk about this stuff. So it's like kids in a schoolyard, isn't it? Let's make sure we all play fairly, kids. We wouldn't want anybody to get their panties in a bunch.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We respect provincial rights and jurisdiction. We respect British Columbia. It is absolutely clear in the Memorandum of Understanding that we and the province of Alberta will work together with British Columbia. We need an agreement for a pipeline. The Honourable Member. Now, when you want the agreement of one party to an agreement, you invite them right away because the agreement the Prime Minister signed will apply even without British Columbia. So will the Prime Minister recognize that he has not respected what he said in the House, that he didn't show great respect for the truth when he signed this agreement? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, This was not a contract. This was a memorandum of understanding. And this has to do with conditions that are sufficient, but they are necessary.
So right there, old Charles Montgomery Burns comes out and says, "Oh, this isn't a contract. It's just a promissory note. It's nothing more than me saying, hey, I intend to do this. Hey, look, we got to make it work with all sides. It's right. That one sentence right there should put anybody's fears to rest of what's happening in Alberta. There's no intention for a pipeline. Shovels will not hit the ground. Mark Carney's hoping that what Alberta will do is say, okay, fine, we'll pay the industrial carbon tax. We'll do all these things you asked us to do. But you don't have to give us a date. You don't have to start a movement on the pipeline. You don't even have to put it in writing. It's not happening, folks. Premier Smith has already come forward and said, if we don't see any kind of movement on a pipeline in terms of negotiation, in terms of a start date or shovels in the ground, we're not moving ahead. This isn't about a pipeline. This is about showing you how broken this country truly is. And even if Danielle is not playing those cards, we're being shown in real time, one way or another, folks. This only fuels independence and the need for it even further.
It is not the end of a process, it is the beginning of a process with Alberta, with British Columbia, and above all, a process with Indigenous peoples. The Honourable Member for Berry-Chambly, it's a piece of paper that he signed and which creates obligations. It is a contract. He can call it whatever he likes, in whatever language he likes. Given what is at stake with the moratorium on tankers, given issues with greenhouse gases, given the absence of an agreement with First Nations who voted against this agreement this morning, does the Prime Minister not think he should make sure that all parties should be able to sign this free, prior, and informed consent? The Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, this is a memorandum of understanding with commitments, with great investments that Alberta will make in carbon capture. The industrial carbon tax, 6 times greater. And also we are tightening rules in other areas.
So once again, as Carney grabs his papers to leave, and we're going to get to that in a second, he says, look, this is a memorandum. We're getting all these taxes. It's kind of, hey, shut up. You're gonna rock the boat a little too much here, Blanchette. This is what's funny, is you can see Pierre standing up. Carney's got his folder. And a lot of people, if you haven't seen this yet, I know it's late to the party, but YouTube was messing around with videos yesterday, so we couldn't put this out yesterday while it was fresh. Here's Mark Carney at the end of it. He ran away. So he says, hey, we're getting our tax dollars. We're gonna get 6 times the amount, guys. So just sit down and shut up. Just understand this is an MOU. We're not going to do anything for Alberta. We're tightening the reins on them. And then he flees. Take a look at this.
Des règles sur le méthane. Merci, Gilles.
The honourable leader of the opposition.
Mr. Speaker, you can't build homes if you run out of the House. That's right. And that's what the Prime Minister is doing right now.
So he won't even take a question from the leader of the opposition. This is how you know this guy's going to fail miserably. This is how you know the country's literally going to do, like, I keep going back to it, but people got to look at that warning from Liz Truss that Mark Carney is here for one purpose and one purpose only, to bankrupt Canada. He's got his little folders there as he turns around to walk away, as he goes back to say, I'm gonna go look at my portfolio of investments coming in from Brookfield. I'm gonna take all the money I'm making, everything I'm doing, and walk away. In fact, that's being confirmed here by John Brassard. He says, I have 3 minutes left. No one should be naive in thinking that Carney left a $1 trillion company, making millions of dollars in both salary and deferred compensation for some virtuous reason to make $400,000 as the prime minister to save us from ourselves. If you ever needed a more concrete reason to know that Mark Carney is here to completely bankrupt Canada, that explanation right there says it in itself. Take a listen. He says it here.
Debate the honourable member for Barrie South Innisfil.
When the Prime Minister said who cares during his visit to the UAE recently about the state of trade talks with the U.S., he meant it, and here's why. No one should be naive in thinking that the Prime Minister left a trillion-dollar company making millions of dollars in both salary and deferred compensations for some virtuous reason to make $400,000 as the Prime Minister to negotiate a trade deal or save us from ourselves. Almost everything in the Budget Implementation Act is set up to use the power of the Prime Minister's office to benefit a group of well-connected Liberal insiders, lobbyists, and his corporate buddies. This was a process that started in 2020 when the Prime Minister was appointed as the economic advisor to Justin Trudeau while still acting as chair of Brookfield Asset Management. Having Trudeau in power was a dream come true for this incestuous cabal of Liberal elites. While Trudeau was playing Prime Minister, the pieces being put into place to ensure that many, if not all, of the public financial instruments, green investment funds, and policies the Prime Minister started pushing when he was pulling Trudeau's strings as his economic advisor aligned with Brookfield's strategy and success. Last week, we found out from Brookfield's chief operating officer that the Prime Minister stands to make millions in carried interest payments from his company's success related to climate and infrastructure schemes he set up. These funds could generate tens of millions of dollars in carried interest for the Prime Minister personally, depending on their performance over the next decade. But here's the problem. The Prime Minister knows what he owned before the blind trust was set up. Every time he makes a decision on infrastructure, energy, climate policy, or with tax incentives that are in the BIA, this will help Brookfield in areas where Brookfield is deeply invested. Questions should arise. Is this policy for Canadians, or Brookfield, or for him? Critics will argue that they've set up a blind trust and an ethics screen, and that's enough to ensure public confidence and trust. But Brookfield's interests from artificial intelligence, modular housing, carbon capture, nuclear, and the transition model of public risk for private return he set up while advising Trudeau will make the Prime Minister millions, and he knows it. Furthermore, the screen is administered by two political appointees by the Prime Minister. We found out last week that the Prime Minister met with Brookfield executives privately in the Prime Minister's office in October, which would cause a reasonable person to think that the screen is not being willfully applied, given the fact that the Prime Minister is not supposed to have any interaction with Brookfield, either its people or its entities. So who cares? We all should, because democracy depends on trust. If Canadians believe their leaders are making decisions to enrich their companies or themselves, confidence in our institution erodes even more than it has under these Liberals. This is
So, while again, John makes very valid points, what he has said already paints the picture that we need when it comes to Mark Carney. He's had Brookfield to his office. We've seen David Moose on the Loose's chart. We've seen the conflicts of interest. We've seen everything that's being done here. And yet the federal government wants to play theater inside the House of Commons. Oh, let's question each other. Let's talk about that. Mark Carney's going to leave because there's no reason for him to be here. Blanchette's going to try and set up the cards in order to badmouth Alberta and say, hey, you guys shouldn't get anything. What's with this MOU? Mark Carney should shut it down. People in Alberta are taking the bait. They're mad. They're rightfully mad. But this is where I say that independence needs to be the eye of the prize. We need to focus on the vote that we're getting sometime in 2026. What we are being shown real time, whether by Danielle or just on our own on this channel, folks, it's that Canada is broken. There is no coming back. And unless we want to continue to give our paychecks to a government that wants to bleed us dry, independence is the only path forward, especially for Alberta and now Saskatchewan, by the way, who have the Saskatchewan Prosperity Project. Well, the wheels are in motion. for people to leave this country. The writing is on the wall, and people are starting to wake up. People are getting fed up. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you believe that Mark Carney's bleeding this country dry? I know that's going to get an easy comment, but hey, we need the comments down there and the thumbs up in order to push the video out. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet. I hope the video's earned your subscription. Don't forget to join me twice live on the channel now, Wednesdays and Fridays, for Unhinged Fringe on Wednesdays with my new co-host Matt. Friday Night Fringe with the beautiful Mrs. Fringe, as we talk about everything that happened this week in politics and everything we know coming up in the week ahead. I always look forward to chatting with you guys outside of making these videos. I most importantly look forward to talking with you this week starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, every Wednesday and Friday here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.